We are talking about the movie Apartment 212. It's also known as GNAW. This one is directed by Hilar Garcia and stars Penelope Mitchell as Jennifer, as a young woman who has trying to get away from a abusive relationship, and she moves into this kind of apartment building, which is a bit run down, a bit of a kind of low rent, shall we say, and we learn that there is this kind of like other woman who lives in another apartment, and all Jennifer can hear is the cries at night, and one day she goes down there to confront her, and there's some kind of like accident and she ends up being dead, this neighbour. And there's kind of the ensuing garage sale to get rid of her stuff. There seems to be some kind of antique box with a kind of a carving of some kind of like sprite or kind of like creature on there, and she takes it, and then soon later discovers whenever she goes to sleep she wakes up with kind of strange bite marks and it's becoming more and more dishevelled. So that's pretty much a setup of the story. I won't go further into the plot than that. So what do we think of Apartment 212? So this film, I think, has got a great setup. It's an interesting kind of setup to this movie. We see this kind of like this particular kind of jewellery box get purchased at the beginning of the movie, so we know there's going to be something up with it. But I've got to say, the film really takes its time. It's a very slow-moving film, and a film where I feel it doesn't need to be. It really kind of does kind of move along at a snail's pace, unfortunately. That's not to say there aren't interesting things here. I think Penelope Mitchell's Jennifer does quite a good job of having this kind of woman who is, she's been a victim in her past and stuff like that. So she seems kind of like vulnerable, but also have it as a kind of strength as well. That was sort of quite good. And obviously, as she's kind of progressing and getting more and more tired through these kind of constant kind of like irritations, like she doesn't know what's going on initially. Obviously, that kind of works well. But I've got to say, the writing doesn't really help in this movie either, because, for example, it's a long time before Jennifer seeks medical help, and she goes to this important job interview, but she turns up there without any kind of like makeup on, and wears like a skirt of all her kind of like bites and stuff showing and stuff like that, and I just think, and obviously doesn't get the job, and it's like, come on, I mean, it's just really stupid. If you were going to go for this kind of like life-changing job, you would kind of probably, if you knew you were getting sort of like bites of a night, you would stay in the hotel the night before and put some makeup on, maybe wear like a kind of trouser suit or something. You know what I mean? It just looks. I mean, she looked like, people keep saying that she looks like a meth kind of abuser, basically. So you would make sure that wasn't the case. It's just a bit silly. So there's a few instances of stuff like that where the writing just doesn't go into kind of believable territories. Now when we get to the kind of the final 10 sort of 15 minutes of this movie, then we'll kind of see the kind of the creature effects. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed that. If you're a fan of things like critters and kind of like troll and gremlins and stuff like that, kind of little kind of monster, creature, fairy type things, I think you'll be pleasantly pleased with this kind of creature feature that looks pretty decent. And I have to say, is has a somewhat of a unique flavour to it when we sort of see it on the screen. That I kind of quite liked. I also quite like the kind of the confrontation between these two sort of like beings, obviously Jennifer and this kind of like this creature itself. I thought it was quite a fun little sort of confrontation towards the end. I also kind of quite like the relationship between her and this neighbour, because you kind of led to believe, oh, he's going to be some sort of creepy weirdo, because he's kind of, we've seen that type so many times in films, but he ends up actually being, just a kind of a nice neighbour, really, and it's kind of quite nice to kind of play in your expectations a little bit. But overall, I've got to say that some dumb writing and the pacing in this movie really doesn't help and kind of makes it somewhat of a chore to sit through at times. And whilst there are elements in this movie that I think work very well, particularly the ending of this film, it just takes way too long to get there, and your interest will start waning about halfway through this film because there's just not enough going on, unfortunately, on screen. So I'll give this movie a 5 out of 10. It's okay, it's an okay film, but I feel most people would find it maybe a little bit boring until it kind of just picks up at the end there. So 5 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.